Welcome to TV20 Sports Classics. I'm your host, Christian Patterson. The City of Cleveland's government access station has been covering recreational sports events for over 20 years. There have been some amazing games and even a few surprises along the way. We here at TV20 would like to take a look back at some of these memorable events. So sit back and enjoy TV20 Classic Sports. We hope you enjoy.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Joe Tate, along with Tim Wells. We're about to bring you a very interesting game of baseball. And to tell you in detail about this baseball championship affair and who these two teams are and what they're vying for, my partner, Big Tim. Tim?
Hey, Joe. It's the Cleveland Micky Mantle League, kids 15 and 16 years old that had a chance in the city of Cleveland for the first time ever to play free. A lot of the kids that play here today have gone through a regular season and playoffs for the right to play in today's city championship game, and ultimately they are going for the chance to be state champions, and they'll go to Youngstown, Ohio, representing the city of Cleveland. Two of the teams that made it, that were fortunate enough in green, are from Halloran Recreation Center. They're coached by Kurt Grenick, and at Stella Walsh is in orange. They're over in the Slavic Village area of Cleveland. They're coached by Mike Penner.
What age group are we talking about here, Tim?
Well, the teenagers are 15 and 16 years old. Cutoff date was August 1st. Some of the rules that we had were mandatory play. You know, we looked at participants' rights, kids playing. This is what it's all about. They're being taught fundamentals, they're playing, they live in the city, and every kid must play. When we look at the teams, Joe, they're very similar, and really the coaches we talked to them before the game and said, hey, what are some of the things that you feel? And they think alike. Both of them said the key is going to be our catchers. Who's going to block the ball? We're playing with a big backstop. We're not used to this all year. That could be pass balls, play a big role, as well as the pitchers. Two outstanding pitchers, Mike Farrar from Stella Walsh and Anthony Wilford from Halloran. Both power pitchers, throw fastball, curveball. They claim they throw a slider. I don't know if they do it this year, but they both racked up some numbers with strikeouts coming into the game. As well as when I talked to them, I says, hey, what are some of the other keys that we look at besides the pitcher and catchers, of course, in baseball? And they talked about defense, the infield defense. Stella Walsh feels if they play good defense in the middle of the diamond, they're going to win. Halloran, on the other hand, I think Coach Grenick said, look, our guy's strong. I'm going to load up the right side of the infield, play strong defense right there, and see if that'll pay off for us.
Tim, have these teams played each other previously this year?
Yes, they have. The first time they met, it was a 7-3 win. Halloran won, and again, the winning pitcher, Anthony Wilford. And the second time they met, it was in part of a doubleheader. Wilford had a no-hitter going into the sixth, loses it on unearned runs, 4-3. Second game, no pitching, 11-2. It was all Stella Walsh. So Stella Walsh has won 2 out of 3, but both aces are going, both are rested, both teams are healthy. We should have a great ball game.
We've also got a great ballpark here. This is an outstanding facility.
Yeah, Gordon Park has really been upgraded by the city of Cleveland, in conjunction a lot with Cleveland State University. They play their games here, and they've really did a real effort by the city and the park maintenance to try to make it happen.
You've mentioned the coaches' names. Tell us a little bit more about them.
Well, when you talk about homebred and really going through the ranks, nobody else fits that better than Mike Penner from Stella Walsh. Mike is 19 years old. He played in Class F. He played through the Micky Mantle. He also was in the state tournament as a youngster, as a player in Micky Mantle and Connie Mack. So he's played the route, and he knows the kids in the area. He's lived in that area, so he knows them. And he also is a sophomore at the University of Dayton. Bright kid. Has a point guard grade average of 3.76. So even though he's young, he's brilliant at the game. And his philosophy has been, hey, let's play solid defense, but we're going to force the other team to make mistakes. We're going to hit and run, we're going to execute, and we're going to be aggressive with the bat and on the bases. On the other hand, you have Kurt Grenick. Kurt is 28 years old, been involved with Class A. He's kind of played on the sandlot for years. He's also been involved in championships. I personally know Kurt from playing with us in the adult baseball league here in Cleveland. And Kurt also has done some high school coaching in the basketball arena over at St. Edward's as the freshman basketball coach this year. He's really come on and enjoyed this program, and he's been a big asset as far as teaching the fundamentals.
So there you have it. The stage is set for this Micky Mantle League Championship as these two teams battled ahead for the state round at Youngstown. Beautiful day for baseball at Gordon Park, and we'll be back with the lineups right after this timeout.
A youngster's dream of someday really beginning right here on the Sandlot program at Gordon Park, and yes, ending up at Cleveland Stadium as a Major League ball player for the Cleveland Indians. Our special guest today is Rich Rollins. Welcome, Rich.
Thanks, Tim. Good to be here.
You know, Rich, we talk about that long journey, and it began on Sandlot Day for you right here in Cleveland. How about sharing how it all started for you?
Well, probably, Tim, similar to what a lot of youngsters are going through right now, you know, on the Sandlots. You know, they're all over the city, they're playing baseball, and in my particular situation, you know, I started on the Sandlots Class F program, and probably the day that I remember very vividly is when Rosenblum's had a tryout situation over at Woodland Hills Park. And I was a young kid from Parma, and there were ads in the paper about, you know, anybody interested in trying out for this team. It happened to be A-ball, which was the upper, the real fast baseball. And I went to this tryout, and I was probably the smallest kid there. It was near the tennis courts at Woodland Hills Park, I remember. And I remember about 300 youngsters were there, and Norm Payne was the manager, Johnny Haydock was the manager, and they conducted these tryouts. And I was like a 5'1/2" inch tall, and it was like a dream. This is what I aimed for throughout the entire Sandlot career, from E-ball, playing all over the city, to playing for the Rosenblums. And the opportunity was there, and I remember hitting a ball over the tennis courts. I remember the outfielders moving in. I was very small, and nobody knew me. And you know, it was an opportunity that probably provided me on my way to a college education, getting paid for at Kent State University.
You know, we talk about those challenges. Here you are, the small guy, everybody moves in and we blast it over. But I'm sure there were other challenges that you met along the way.
Well, I mean, obviously there was a lot of criticism that you have to put up with, and you know, I guess where the problem really exists, if you start believing the criticism yourself, because I wore glasses at the time. I was very small. They said I couldn't make the double play. I'm not going to be able to hit the curveball. I don't run fast. And you know, fortunately enough, I had enough people around me, you know, particularly some of the managers that I played for in the Sandlots, which I, you know, vividly remember. These people are dedicated people, much as you have now. And my father, you know, and my family, my mother, they wouldn't allow me to believe these. They used to talk to me about it. Well, if you believe that you can make it, you know, you go. But always have something to fall back on, and I did. And my dad always preached to me, you know, that it was always when you go to college, and we didn't have a whole lot of money. But, you know, I had these thoughts planted in my mind, and it was a fun time, and I enjoyed playing baseball. But I remember probably most the people who worked with us on the Sandlots, the dedicated people that spent time playing ball with, you know, with me that I didn't know from Adam. Similar to the situation you have now, and it's a tremendous opportunity for youngsters to take advantage of the dedicated people you have on the Sandlots.
Oh, Rich, you mentioned the people that influenced you, your family, your father, the coaches. You know, but really, I hear you talking not just baseball, but about college and life. And just this past week, you met all the players that play here in the Cleveland Micky Mantle League. We talked about some goals. Would you share a little bit of that with our viewers?
Correct. It's a great time, and you know, there's nothing wrong, I believe, you know, with having a dream of playing Major League Baseball, but you should have also, you know, I call them plan A, plan B, plan C. You know, injuries happen, things happen throughout life, and particularly when you're real young. You know that you know, it happened to one of the Indians ball players last night that happened to get a broken wrist, and all of a sudden you're thinking, is this wrist going to come back? And you know, you have to have something to fall back on. And we talk often about education. Well, education is good. I mean, if some people are going to have an opportunity to go to college, well, that's fine. But there's also nothing wrong with being an auto mechanic. I'm talking about a vocation, pursuing something that you really are interested in. And I think the key is and I've had this thought planted in my mind, become the best at what you're going to do regardless of what it is. And, you know, it might be, who knows what it might be. I mean, there's a whole lot of vacations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a college education, but have something to fall back on in case the baseball thing doesn't work out.
You know, I guess we'd like to close with maybe a closing thought from Rich Rollins. Rich?
Okay. Well, I think, you know, just addressing some of the youngsters, I think the key is to have fun. You know, have fun doing what you're going to be willing to put the work in, because the values, the same values that you have in baseball, the same fundamental things that you have to do in order to make it in baseball, you have to do in life. And I'm talking about the work ethic, the confidence level. You know, your confidence increases. Lombardi said it best. Your confidence increases in direct proportion to the preparation you put into something. And I've always remembered that, because it applies to just about everything that you want to do. If just like you were preparing for this talk, you know, we prepared for it. And if you prepare for something in your own mind, you feel satisfied that you prepared enough, put enough hard work in it, you're going to have the confidence to be able to perform, regardless of what it is. And so there's a lot of valuable lessons to be learned on the baseball field that pertain to life situations throughout a person's lifetime. Have fun.
Well, our special thanks has to go out to people like Rich that have taken time out helping our Micky Mantle youngsters not realize just the game of baseball, but really what life's all about. And when we come back, we're going to have the player introductions of today's championship game in the Cleveland Micky Mantle League.
All right, back here at Gordon Park prior to the Micky Mantle League Championship game, let's go to field announcer and league director Nate Mumphrey for the introduction of the two ball clubs this afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our annual Micky Mantle Baseball Championship game, sponsored by the Cleveland Division of Recreation, the Cleveland Baseball Federation, and the Cleveland Indians. Today's game features the Stella Walsh Recreation Team against the Halloran Recreation Team. And now, I will introduce the Halloran team. Their head coach, Kirch Butch Grinick. Assistant coach, Mike Hines. And now the players. Number 2, pitcher, outfielder, John Crawford. Number 16, infielder, Dan Guyon. Number 19, pitcher, outfielder, Dennis Kuzel. Number 10, center field, Steve Leahy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our starting lineup. Batting in the number 1 slot, number 9, the catcher, Danny Bowe. Number 2 hitter, number 4, David Bowe, the shortstop. Batting third and playing third base, number 20, Kyle Hine. Batting in the cleanup spot, the first baseman, number 18, Pat Cocan. Batting fifth, number 14, the pitcher, Anthony Wilford. Number 8, the second baseman, Adam Schneider. Number 17, the left fielder, Brian Zima. Number 12, the right fielder, Eugene Ball. And number 15, and playing center field, Nicholas Coniglia. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Halloran Recreation Micky Mantle baseball team. And now, introducing the team from Stella Walsh. Head coach, Mike Penner. Assistant coach, Jim Clark. Now the players. Number 17, pitcher outfielder, Timmy Baker. Number 19, pitcher outfielder, Joe Barton. Number 6, outfielder, Nick Kubik. Number 7, first baseman, outfielder, Mike Stucco. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup. Leading off and playing third base, number 15, Elvis Serrano. Batting second, playing center field, number 5, Rob Worrell. Batting third and playing second, number 11, Mike Werman. Hitting in the cleanup spot, playing shortstop, wearing number 12, Ron Loomer. Batting number 5, number 18, the pitcher, Mark Farrar. Number 10, the designated hitter, Lou Sanato. Playing first base, wearing number 13, Keith Johnson. Playing right field, wearing number 16, Pete Kozinski. And the catcher, wearing number 8, Mark Stucco. And on defense, playing left field, wearing number 14, Santo Ortiz. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have our national anthem sung by the famed Rocco Scotty.
Draw stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran wild, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night.
All right, Rocco Scotty with the national anthem, and now let's go to Desiree Powell and hear about the coaches' views of their starting pitchers.
Here with Coach Kirk Grenick from Halloran Recreation Center, am I correct?
Right.
Okay, what are you going to tell your kids just before they take the field today to start the game?
Well, I want them to think about the last couple games played against Walsh, the mistakes that we did make, and how to correct them today. On the defensive end, we want to play tough, not make too many mistakes throwing the ball around. And on offense, we're going to want to convert, make the most of our opportunities.
Okay, well, good luck for today's game.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next, we're going to have the next coach. You can go ahead. Good luck. Mike Penner, correct, from Stella Walsh Recreation Center. How are you today?
Pretty good.
Well, good. What we'd like to ask you first is, who is your starting pitcher for today, and what type of pitches can we expect from him today?
He's Mark Farrar, and he'll challenge every hitter with a good slider, tight curveball, and he'll try to put him away with a fastball.
Oh, really? Okay, so he's pretty consistent then, in other words.
Yes, yes. Throws a lot of strikes.
A lot of strikes.
Yeah.
You hope today anyway, right? Let me ask you this. How did your practice go today? Did you get a lot of practice time in? I know it rained earlier in the week and whatnot, but did you get enough practice time?
Yeah, we practiced Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We took them to the cages, and they seemed ready. Everyone showed up, and they're excited to play.
How about your team? Are they all healthy? Will you have to be held back by any injuries or anything like that?
No, everybody's healthy.
Everyone's healthy.
Yes.
Okay. One last thing. What are you going to say to your kids before they take the field to give them that extra motivation to get a win today?
I'm going to tell them to relax, to work hard, play with class, and play baseball like they know how, and they'll be fine.
Okay, well, good luck this afternoon. You have a good game.
You too.
Bye-bye. Back to you, Tim.
All right, now we go to the ceremonial first pitch thrown by Ralph Vera.
And again, Ralph is the president of the Cleveland Baseball Federation, who's been the key member to put this league together this year.
All right, Tim Wells, how about the umpires for today's ball game?
Well, as we look at our umpires, again, we're talking a lot of experience. On the left-hand side is Mike Preto. He's 20 years experience as an umpire. He's a graduate of St. Joe. In the center will be the guy calling the balls and strikes today, Gary Heschel. 4-year umpire, a graduate of Rhodes. Played on the Class A Diamonds here in Cleveland as a player for many years. And on the right is Jesse Harvey. He'll be umpiring over at first base. Again, 21 years as an umpire. He also is a school teacher for 29 years right here at the Cleveland Public Schools at Thomas Jefferson Junior High.
Well, taking a look at the defensive lineup for the Stella Walsh team at first base, Keith Johnson, the second base, Mike Wehrman. The shortstop will be Ron Loomer, third base, Elvis Serrano. In left field, Santo Ortiz, the center fielder, Rob Worrell, and the right fielder will be Pete Kozinski. Catching will be Mike Stucco, and pitching will be Mark Farrar. So we're just about ready to go, Tim, and as we have seen in other sports that you and I have telecast in the past, we're probably in for a pretty good afternoon of competition.
Yeah, we're looking at two outstanding ball teams, and again, to get here to play for the city championship, it's not only just been the talent, but maybe the bounce of the ball or the luck to go your way.
We've got sunshine and about 78 degrees here at Gordon Park on this Saturday afternoon for the Micky Mantle championship victory, our championship game.
So we look at number 18, Mark Farrar. He's going to be the pitcher for Stella Walsh today. Comes in with some outstanding statistics as far as racking up some strikeouts. The last 3 ball games, he's picked up a period of 25 strikeouts. Throws a fastball. Coach mentioned earlier in the pregame, curveball. Again, he's a little bit different than Wilford in the sense that his curveball is a hard-breaking curveball. It's at the same speed. It's a little bit tougher to handle.
Well, Dan Bowl, David Bowl, and Kyle Hine will be the first 3 batters for Halloran today to deal with Mike Farrar. In the playoffs, Stella Walsh beat Kovacic 12-1, while Halloran knocked off Glenville 14-9 and Cadell 10-0. And the throw down to second base, and this ball game is about to begin.
Leading off for Halloran,
Kurt Rennick goes down to coach at third, and Mike Hines is coaching at first base.
Danny Bowl.
Here's Dan Bowl, 5'5", 130 pounds. He hit .529 during the year and an even .500 against Stella Walsh. 0-1. And there's ball 2. You can ask for a better afternoon for baseball here today at Gordon Park. Sunshine, bit of a breeze, appears to be wafting across the outfield. Ball slapped to third. And the throw across by Elvis Serrano, 1 out.
Well, one of the keys, Joe, when we talked to the coaches before the game, they felt that the early part of the ball game was going to be key. And especially for Halloran, they indicated to us that they wanted to stay close or get ahead early with Stella Walsh's hitting ability, that they felt if they fell behind. And they probably got over the first hump with that first hitter.
David Bold is next, 5'6", 148 pounds, a .391 batter.
Yes, Joe, they are twin brothers. A little rivalry between the two.
Whoops, he went fishing for the high one that time. 2 strikes. They do have some dissimilarities. For instance, Danny's favorite team, the Indians, with Kenny Lofton, his favorite player, and David, the Braves, with Fred McGriff. Showing that we're in the television age. Strike 3, and David Bowl becomes the second out of the first inning.
Well, we can see here that Farrar has relied on the changeup. Again, Halloran, a fastball hitting team, is throwing the ball up high and got him to chase pitches that they didn't want to go after.
Number 3 hitter, Halloran.
Kyle Hine is number 3 in the Halloran order, the third baseman. He's 6'1", 190, a .370 batter from John Marshall. In fact, most of these fellows are from John Marshall. There are some that are not, and we'll pick them up as the afternoon wears along.
And many of the John Marshall players that are on this team back on May 25th were here playing for the City Cleveland Public Schools Championship, and Kyle is one of them.
Strike 1 pitch. Strike 2. 2 outs. Nobody on. We're in the top of the first inning. Well, he swung and missed, but the ball goes all the way back to the screen, and that's what you were talking about in the pregame, Tim, with this spacious area behind home plate. A catcher that can't at least knock down a ball is liable to have to take a long trip.
Well, both coaches agree that would be a factor, and again, the first strikeout that cost him was a pass ball. But again, Kyle Hine on first base doesn't have a lot of speed.
Well, he struck out on a pitch in the dirt, so it's a strikeout and a wild pitch, and it brings up Pat Cacone, the first baseman. Strike 1. Cacone 5'10", 151, a .407 batter during the season, but he was only 2 for 8 against the Stella Walsh pitching. Strike 1 pitch. 1-1. Stella Walsh Rec Center in the orange and Halloran in the green in this Micky Mantle League Championship game. Two and 1. Stella Walsh during the season went 9-1. Halloran went 7-4. But the only loss that Stella Walsh encountered was against Halloran. 3-1. Well, the first 2 batters were easy on a bouncer to third and a swinging strike 3. Then Kyle Hine struck out on a ball that was in the dirt, arrived safely at first base when the pitch eluded the catcher. Now Cacone batting. Anthony Wolford due to bat next. A walk.
Well, again, you can see that this is the first time he's pitched from the stretch. Seems to be kind of crouched when he's starting, and it might be caused some of the inconsistency. Again, Mark Farrar, the coach, had told us before the game when he talked to Desiree about, he was concerned about getting ahead of the hitters.
Anthony Wolford is the opposing pitcher for Mike Farrar today.
Number 5 pitcher, number 14, Anthony Wilford.
Ball 1, 2 on, 2 out. Wilford, it's 5'9", 160, a .428 batter, 3 for 8 against Stella Walsh. Well, he dealt him one high and tight, failed to find it. 1-1 the count. I'll tell you folks watching us here this afternoon, NBC, ABC, CBS, ESPN, Sports Channel, they've got nothing on Tim Wells. This man provides more information than anyone I have ever seen at any level of broadcasting. Ball is hammered foul. 1-2.
Well, during the year, Anthony Wolford has showed the potential to hit the ball a long way. I'm sure Coach Grenick is giving him the green light because of the potential for him to possibly hit an extra base hit. But as we can see, the Stella Walsh defense is played back.
Well, he got him. And he strikes out the side the hard way by allowing one of the men to arrive safely at first base. So we go for the first half inning. No runs, no hits, a walk, wild pitch, and 2 left. So at the end of 1/2 inning of play, Halloran nothing. Stella Walsh coming to bat. Let's take a look at the Halloran defense. At first base, Pat Cacone. Second base, Adam Schneider. The third baseman is Kyle Hine, and the shortstop, David Bowl. In left field, Brian Zima. The center fielder is Nick Caniglia. Right fielder, Eugene Ball. Catching is Dan Bowl, and pitching, Anthony Wilford. Now, something that we might explain, Tim, is that they do have the high school option of using a designated hitter to bat for anybody in the lineup, but evidently the Halloran Ball Club, coached by Kurt Grenig, has decided to forego that, and they're going with 9 guys and all of them bat.
Right, the high school reentry rule as well as the high school lineup rule is being used here, which basically means that other than the American League, where you can only hit for the pitcher, they can have them bat for any position player that they would like, as long as they determine it at the beginning of the ball game and stay in that spot in the batting order. Likewise, Joe, as we've been wanting to put in mandatory play that everybody gets to play and everybody learns the game, we went with the high school reentry rule. What in essence means is if a youngster that starts the ball game can be taken out of the ball game and replaced by a substitute player, and later in the ball game the coach has the option to re-enter the starter, and they may only do that once during the game. So a starter can come out of the game and re-enter it, and that is in line with the Ohio high school rule that they use on the Sandlots. Again, Joe, when we look at Anthony Wolford and Danny Bowl, you know, when we talked to the kids before the game, they were a little antsy about coming here. Again, back on May 25th, a lot of these kids that play for Halloran played for John Marshall against Lincoln West for the city championship. So really, this is the same battery, pitcher and catcher, that were back here back in May trying to win a city title, and they're hoping that they can do it here today.
Yet the home half of the first inning gets underway. It'll be Mike Serrano, the third baseman, leading off for Stella Walsh. Serrano, 5'9", 170, hit .364 during the season. And he hit 2 for 8 against Halloran. The wind now, his turn starting to blow out. 1-1.
One thing about Elvis Serrano that we noticed when we looked at him was that he's going to make the pitcher throw strikes. During their season, he drew over 14 walks.
One ball, 2 strikes.
1-2.
Yeah, there's a base hit in the left field. So Elvis Serrano leads off with a solid single to left field.
Now Anthony Wolford's going to have to be careful here because Serrano will run. He has outstanding speed. He had 16 stolen bases out of 18 attempts this past season.
Rob Worrell, the center fielder. Ball 1.
Going into this game, Rob Worrell has been the hottest hitter on the team. The last 3 ball games, he's hitting over 500.
He was 3 for 6 against Halloran pitching this year. Mike Penner coaching at third, Jim Clark at first. That ball slapped to right field for a base hit. Digging for third, and a long throw across. Stops on the infield grass and down to second base on the throw goes Rob Borrell. So back-to-back hits. Runners at second and third and nobody out.
Well, as we look at the replay, you see an outside pitch, perfectly hits the other way. That's what you look for in a coach. And here's the mistake on the defense. They overthrow the cutoff. Again, kids are instructed from the outfield, hit the cutoff, get the ball into the shortstop, which moved Worrell into second base and puts him at second and third with nobody out.
So now Stella Walsh in a great opportunity to get the first runs of the ball game. Mike Werman, second baseman defensively. He's 5'11", 155, hit .469 in this season. 2 for 8 against Halloran. Good breaking pitch, strike one.
Well, when you look about the player that really makes a team go, this guy's led in 4 offensive categories: hits, runs scored, RBIs, and home runs.
He was tempted to go for the high fastball. Count evens 1-1. And a ball, 2-1. Mike Werman at bat. Ron Loomer due to bat next. Two and two.
Little anxious, Joe.
And the 2-2 pitch. Full count. There is no score. We're in the home half of the first inning. The Micky Mantle League Championship game at Gordon Park in Cleveland. Strike 3.
He painted that outside corner. Again, he did a nice job. He pitched him away. You can see right here as Gary Heschel rings them up for their first out of the inning.
Ron Loomer is next, the shortstop. 5'8", 165, a .455 batter. 3 for 8 against Halloran. Ball one. Runners at second and third, 1 out. Serrano at third, Borrell at second. Back-to-back hits to start the ball game for Stella Walsh. Tipped into the catcher's mitt to even the count at 1-1.
Again, Loomer's been consistent all year at the plate. Has hit safely in 9 of the 11 games this season.
Breaking ball takes the count to 2-1.
Again, Joe, you can see that the pitcher seems to believe that he can get Loomer out by pitching him away on the outside corner. Stella Walsh likes to pull the ball.
3-1. Mike Farrar, the Stella Walsh pitcher, is due to bat next. Here's the 3-1 pitch. The bases are loaded.
Brings up the number 5 hitter.
Mark Farrar, the pitcher. 5'5", 130, 387 batter, was 2 for 7 against Halloran. Strike 1. Bases loaded, 1 out. We're in the home half of the first inning.
You know, Joe, when we talked to the kids before the game, we asked them about their favorite player. Mike Berhard says, listen, I got two of them. When I'm hitting, I think like Albert Bell, and when I'm pitching, I think like Charlie Nagy.
Breaking ball inside, 2-1.
Look at a pitcher's delight, come up, bases loaded, 1 out. Chance to help yourself.
Yeah, you help your own cause, to say the least. 2-1 pitch. Green 1, no place to put him. Bases loaded. Lou Sonato is due to bat next. He walked him to force in a run. So Farrar gets an RBI. The bases remain loaded. And the DH is Lou Sonato. Sonato, 421 batting average for the year, but he was 0 for 7 against Halloran pitching this year. Strike 1. One to 1. Worrell at third, Loomer at second, Farrar at first, 1 out. Home half of the first inning, Stella Walsh batting against Halloran and leading 1-0. Ball rammed right up the middle into center field. It'll score a pair. Racing around to third base on the hit was Farrar, and it's now a 3-0 ball game.
Well, again, you can see that the pitcher came in and challenged him, Joe. Again, Stella Walsh is a fastball hitting team like Halloran. As we look at the replay here, you can see a nice fastball right over the heart of the plate. Kept his head down. And again, this time you have to give the center fielder credit. Realizing he didn't have the guy at third, he ends up throwing the ball into second base, prevent the runner from moving into second on it.
So it's a 3-0 lead for Stella Walsh, and Keith Johnson, who was at home plate, is now summoned down to the third base coach. Mike Penner wants to give him a word. Keith Johnson hitting 091 during the regular season on just 1 for 11. There goes the runner from first to second without a throw. And a ball and a strike.
Seems like he's not opening his hips on his off-speed pitch. He's not following through. Kind of leaves it out there.
Well, he dropped that a curveball in there beautifully, and the count is 1-2. Still only 1 out. Stella Walsh has scored 3 times here in the first inning. Two balls, 2 strikes. And the payoff pitch. 3-2 count. They're popping balls and strikes up on that scoreboard faster than they could throw them. So now it's 3-2. Runners at second and third. He got him on an inside pitch for the second strikeout and out of the inning. 2 down. And the next batter is Pete Kozinski, the right fielder.
Well, you see here, it was a nice down and in pitch.
Kozinski, 6 feet even, 180 pounds. Strike one the count. Anthony Wilford trying to pitch out of trouble here in the first inning. His breaking pitch outside, 1-1.
And again, when you're looking at pitching and you're talking off-speed pitching compared to just a simple breaking ball, it's a big advantage if you can learn to throw that off-speed pitch.
Two balls and a strike. Home half of the first inning, 3-0. Stella Walsh leads. Here comes the man to the plate. He is a dead duck trying to steal home plate as the Halloran catcher, Dan Bull, was waiting for him. In the inning, 3 runs on a total of 3 base hits. And at the end of the first inning of play, Stella Walsh leads 3-0. And now let's go to Desiree Powell. She'll be chatting with Ralph Vera, the president of the Cleveland Baseball Federation.
Hi, we're here with the president of the Cleveland Baseball Federation, Mr. Ralph Vera. How are you today?
I'm just fine, thank you, Desiree.
Good. Can you start off by giving us an idea of what is the Cleveland Baseball Federation all about?
I'd be delighted to. The Cleveland Baseball Federation was founded in 1920 by a number of prominent Cleveland businessmen who felt there was a need to have an organized sport, which there was none in the city of Cleveland at that time.
Okay.
And it's probably the best kept secret in the city of Cleveland.
Well, that's good. It's been here a long time.
Absolutely.
Solid program.
True.
Okay. Could you give us an idea, where did the Micky Mantle League come from? How did that come about?
Micky Mantle League was devised and constructed this year because we didn't have an element or a league for youngsters to play between the ages 15 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
They would go right from the Class F, and then there'd be a void until they could get into the higher grade leagues, which is probably the 19, 20-year-old leagues. So we felt there was a need to create an activity here to allow these kids to participate in organized sports, and we came about with the help of the Cleveland Indians.
Okay.
And the Division of Recreation, City of Cleveland. We were able to construct this league and be able to put these kids out where they could play.
That's good. Now, can we ask, where is the funding and how is the cost handled through the Cleveland Federation so that the kids can play free of charge?
We get all of our funds from contributions from corporations, from private citizens who are donating, and from the Cleveland Indians, and also Division of Recreation supports us in other activities. But most of our funds are derived strictly from contributions, of which we're grateful to the community.
So you've had strong support all these years. That's good.
We sure have.
That's a good
We're just
sign.
looking for more and more years of the strong support.
Okay. Now, I understand there's a new program, a Luke Easter Scholarship Program. Could you give us more details about that?
Desiree, this was founded with the unfortunate death of Luke Easter, a very prominent and well-known baseball player in the city of Cleveland. Played for the Cleveland Indians. Upon his death, by the way, he was also a board member of the Cleveland Baseball Federation.
Okay.
And upon his death, we felt that we wanted to construct something in his memory. And the Cleveland Baseball Federation did fund and has funded and to continue to fund a scholarship program, 2 scholarships a year at $500 apiece, that are given to any children, any athlete playing baseball who should apply for it. And of course, there's a need element to it. And this has been going on since Luke Easter's death.
Oh, could you give us a little background about the medical coverage plan?
Yes, we have, ever since the founding of the Cleveland Baseball Federation, supplied medical coverage to youngsters and people who do not have the ability to carry their own private coverage. Okay. And as such, it's a secondary medical program. Anyone who does not have the ability to have a medical coverage, why, we will take care of their medical bills up to $3,500. And we do a nice job. It's good. It helps the kids out, and we certainly protect those kids that cannot fund it.
I'm sure it does. One last question. As we're heading into the 21st century, and with the hype of Cleveland Indians and baseball growing again, where do you see baseball going in conjunction with the Cleveland Baseball Federation in the future?
I really see it expanding. I see this year particularly we've added a great number of youngsters, a great young number of teenagers that are playing baseball, hardball, which was on a decline a number of years ago, but starting to come back. We see it in the suburbs, we see it here in our league, and we see a continuation of this, primarily in the teenage group. We also see an alignment with the high schools where we'll ask to participate in our summer leagues.
Okay. Well, what we would like to do today is thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for all your support, and we're glad you're here, and we're glad we have a great sunny day for the game.
How true.
And we'll be right back after this break with more baseball.
So, whose influence are you under?
Back here at Gordon Park, let's take a look at the final out of the first inning, Tim.
Well, we can see here that apparently they were trying to create. Mike Pinner talked about aggressive base running. And right here, the catcher, nice catch, nice tag, gets out, shows it to the ump. Good call. And I'm sure Coach Pinner was trying to create some aggressive play on base running. A lot of people will question it, but that's their style of play.
Adam Schneider, Brian Zima, and Eugene Ball will be the first three in the second inning for Halloran, and Ball one from Mark Ferrara, who has been spotted a 3-0 lead.
Well, when we compared the pitchers in the first inning, Wolford 36 pitches, 15 for strikes. Compared to Ferrara, 18 pitches, 11 for strikes. I'm sure Halloran is going to go out there with the same philosophy. Hey, we got a tight strike zone. We're going to take some pitches, make them throw it to us.
He bunts. It's on the dirt. It stays fair and safe at first as the throw to the inside of the bag by the Stella Walsh catcher, Mike Stucco, pulled first baseman Keith Johnson off the bag. It's an error.
And I'm looking here at the replay, and I see he went by him, and I see the save call, but apparently, and again, we'll probably have to find out from the officials, he turned around. They're reversing the call to an out.
Well, because of interference, running inside the base path, so you can make it a one-out situation. Well, you guys always do things in a big way. You going to put a helicopter down here? So there is one out on interference on the base paths by Adam Schneider. Well, he hammers that one into left field, and on at first base is Brian Zima. That is the first hit of the ball game for Halloran.
Again, Brian Zima's favorite player, Ken Griffey. You'll see a little bit of Ken Griffey here, I guess, when you look at nice bat, keeps his head down.
Number 12, Eugene Ball.
See the pitch here? Good job. Kept his head down, went with the pitch, hit it the other way.
Eugene Ball, the right fielder at bat. Strike one.
One of the things that impressed me about the Halloran team is that they don't like to pull the outside pitch. Coach has been stressing them to go the other way with the outside pitch, and it seemed to help them.
Steve, right two. Eugene Ball, 6'2", 220. Pounds that one right back to the pitcher, throw out to second base. They'll put the tag on the sliding base runner, Brian Zima, for the fielder's choice.
Now again, Joe, as you saw there, was a ground ball hit back to the pitcher, and we talked about communication. And I'm sure that Farrar said to the second baseman and shortstop, hey, right here, I need to know who I'm going back to. So if we're playing baseball and we're learning the techniques, this should be communicated. You see here, he kind of looked to the shortstop, then he ends up throwing to the second baseman. Again, Brian Zima doesn't have the tremendous speed, so they get the out. But again, pitchers should be instructed, hey, you get a guy on first base, talk to the middle infielders. Who's got the ball if it's hit back to me?
Nick Caniglia is the batter, 5'9", 150, at 273 batter during the season. And he got caught in a tweener there. He held the bat out, and the ball hit the bat and went out of play. 2 strikes. Caniglia, number 9 man in the Halloran batting order. We're in the second inning, top half thereof, and there is a 3-0 Stella Walsh lead in this game. One and 2, good stop by the Stella Walsh catcher, Mike Stucco. Want to practice those at every opportunity, even when they don't mean anything, because you're going to be called upon, as we've already seen, to stop ones that do. Well, that takes care of the batter, Nick Caniglia, and takes care of Halloran in the second inning. No runs with a base hit and a man left. At the end of 2 innings of play, it is 3-0 in favor of Stella Walsh.
Well, as we look here, again, we talk about the Micky Mantle League. You see a lot of the parents as well as friends have come out to support their teams. And, you know, we just talked to Ralph Vera last inning about the Cleveland Baseball Federation and how they've come together. You know, we've looked at the Cleveland baseball program as a whole, and we found out that youngsters were allowed to play free baseball up to the age of 14. Well, Ralph Vera, with the support of the board of directors, the Cleveland Indians, the Gun Foundation, stepped forward so that the city of Cleveland youngsters can now go up from the ages all the way up through 16 to play baseball free. A lot of the kids that we see here today play in our Cleveland public schools right here in the city of Cleveland. And I see one of the things that we now see is that they say baseball is growing. Well, in the city of Cleveland, Joe, just being in organized sports, I know all our diamonds are tied up with baseball fields. And we see here today just a few of the kids, but over 130 youngsters, teenagers, that live in the city of Cleveland were given an opportunity to play baseball free of charge. So our hats have to go off to the Cleveland Indians, the Gun Foundation, as well as the Cleveland Baseball Federation.
That is outstanding. Pete Kozinski was at bat when Mark Farrar was out trying to steal home in the first inning. Strike one. Steve Wright, 2. Anthony Wolford staggered through a 3-run first inning. Struck out 2, walked a couple. And that one goes right back to the screen. 1 and 2. Two and 2. Steve, strike 3. Kozinski, a strikeout victim. That'll bring on the number 9 batter. Mike Stucco, the catcher. Watch Wilford strike out Kozinski.
Well, this is the twin brother Mark.
They ran another twin in on me, huh?
And Mark's had a pretty good year with baseball. He was all league in the Cleveland Senate this year.
So Mark Stucco is 16 years of age, 5'7", 145, 1 for 14 overall, 0 for 7 in batting against Halloran. Ball 2. Well, I tell you, the catchers are going to have a busy, busy day here.
You know, I saw the umpire's expression like, kid, listen, anything down there, you're supposed to protect me. Don't let it hit me.
There's a strike, 3-1.
And you know, Joe, when I coached, I used to tell my catchers, you're going to keep getting them in the dirt as long as you let them throw them there. After the first or second one, you better get out there and tell them, hey, you throw it up here.
That was an outstanding pitch and a 3-2 count. Full count, 1 out. Second inning, 3-0. Stella Walsh leading and at bat. Stella Walsh, the team in the orange jerseys. Ball in the air, out over the second baseman. First baseman back as the wind gives it a bit of a ride, and Pat Cacone stayed with it for the putout. 2 down.
Well, you can see Anthony Wilford starting to gain a little confidence, get ahead of the hitters. Showed the ability to come back when he was behind that hitter.
Top of the order, Elvis Serrano. Serrano singled to start a 3-run rally in the first inning. He eventually scored on a bases-loaded walk. Strike 1. 2 down, nobody on. Serrano and Worrell singled to start the first inning for Stella Walsh. Then 2 walks brought a run. There's the 1-1 pitch. And then Luis Sonato drove in a pair. That ball is pounded by the shortstop into left center field. Serrano has the 4th Stella Walsh hit of the afternoon. It comes with 2 outs in the second inning.
Well, as we look at the replay again, we see him pitching him away, and again, Stella Walsh trying to pull it, gets a ground ball, punches it up through the middle. Second hit for Elvis Serrano. Again, has outstanding speed, so they'll need to keep him close.
Worrell the batter. Good breaking ball, strike 1. Worrell singled, went to second on a throw, and eventually scored on Sonato's base hit back in the first inning. And Serrano back to first base. Anthony Wilford pitching for Halloran this afternoon in this championship game, opposed by Mark Farrar. He went fishing, and the throw is into center field, and picking himself up going to third is Serrano. They may send him, no. Put the brakes on as the center fielder recovers the errant throw, so it will be a stolen base and a throwing error.
Well, that's the style of play that Mike Penner was talking about. Hey, we're going to run. We may run into some outs, or we're going to create some havoc. And right here you see Dan Bull, who really does have a nice strong arm, although he lets this one get away from him. And again, you can see here Serrano looks, sees it's up, and he's taken off.
Meanwhile, Worrell pounds the ball to third. The throw across in time by Kyle Hine. And there's no damage done. No runs, a hit, and an error, and a runner left. So we have played 2 innings here at the Gordon Park, and it is still a 3-0 lead, Tim.
Well, after 2 innings of play, Joe, you're right. We got Stella Walsh up 3-0. And you know what? One of the things is that we're going to be meeting one of the umpires, and we talk about the umpiring profession and the men in blue. Later on, I'm sure that we're going to catch up with one of the umpires to hear about what they go through during the summer. We look here at not just the Micky Mantle baseball program, but I'm sure a lot of our viewers here in Cleveland are thinking about, hey, how do I get my kid involved in baseball this summer? Where do I join? Well, what they need to do is call the Cleveland Baseball Federation at 861-4767. There's programs for the tots all the way from the ages of 4 years old all the way through adults, as well as they can contact maybe their local recreation center where there's baseball programs going on in all levels. As well as the Cleveland Recreation Department is looking not just on the boys' side, the adult side, but the girls. We're going to have a girls' softball program next spring where the girls will be able to get involved and get their whacks at it.
Well, in the third inning for Halloran, it will be Bowl, and Hines. Sounds like a vaudeville act, but it's actually the catcher, shortstop, and third baseman for Halloran Rec. Dan Bowl bounced to third to start the ball game for Halloran. Here's Mark Farrar's first pitch. Ball one.
Top of the order. Catcher, number 9, Danny Bowl.
Danny Bowl, he's a tough kid. Hard-nosed catcher.
You'd better be hard-nosed if you're going to catch in this league. And there's why. Ball 2. You better be hard all over. Not just the nose, but all portions of your anatomy better be like granite, because you don't know sometimes where those pitches are coming. Slaps that one back to the second baseman in time at first. Adam Schneider makes the play, and that will. See, I'm getting a side miss. Oh, here we are. One out, third inning.
Little frustration by Dan.
Yeah, let me get the right second baseman in there, Mike Werman. One out. Now David Bowl, his twin brother, a strikeout victim in the first inning, reaches out, tags one up around his eyes, slaps it to the left fielder, and without any real problem, Santo Ortiz makes the grab. 2 down.
Look at Santo Ortiz. He's a good example of a kid that just started playing baseball in our Class F program. Now is up here and playing in a Micky Mantle league. And again, this is the kind of the league that's for kids in Cleveland wanting to learn fundamentals, getting a chance to go out and play some baseball.
Kyle Hine batting with 2 outs and nobody on, as he did in the first inning. He struck out but arrived safely on a wild pitch. This time he is nailed at first base on the throw by Mike Werman. And Mark Farrar goes through a very neat 1-2-3 third inning. We've played 2.5 at Gordon Park. Stella Walsh 3, and the Halloran Rec team nothing, as we check out the replay of the work by the second baseman. Tim?
Mark Farrar was looking for the perfect inning. You get those short innings, few pitches. Threw a little breaking ball away from Kyle Hine. And again, Kyle with not the outstanding speed, plenty of time. First baseman stayed with it. Did a nice job at first base was Keith Johnson. Again, we look at the Stella Walsh team in their dugout. They're over by South High School in the old Slavic Village area. Their center manager, Marty Pizak, I'm sure is rooting for him today. As well as, Joe, the winning team, maybe for our viewers, just to remind, the winning team will be representing Cleveland, Ohio in the state tournament later at the end of this month of July. So there's a lot at stake for the kids today.
I believe they play that over in Youngstown, don't they, Tim?
Right, Youngstown, Ohio. The teams from Akron, Canton. You can see here Anthony Wolford warming up. And again, Joe, it seems like as the game's gone on, he's got a little stronger, a little bit more confident. Seems to get found the strike zone.
Well, he'll have to deal with the 3, 4, and 5 batters in the Stella Walsh lineup. Mike Werman, Ron Loomer, and Mark Farrar. These fellows, with the exception of Werman, who was a strikeout victim, Loomer and Farrar figured prominently into the 3-run rally in the first inning by Stella Walsh. They figured into it by standing there and taking ball 4.
Second baseman, number 11.
1 to load the bases and 1 to bring home a run. And then Luis Sonato came along and spanked a base hit to center field to drive in 2. The curveball, ball 1 to Mike Wehrman. He was called out on strikes in the first inning. Ball 2.
And we talk a lot about baseball, but when you look at Mike Werman, he's been a merit roll student. He'll be entering the 11th grade at Trinity High School.
There's a strike, 2-1.
Oh, you love those umpires to have that low strike when you're a pitcher.
Two 1 pitch. And 1. Wind picking up here at Gordon Park. It was just a bit of a breeze when we started the ball game, but now it has started to really blow across the outfield from left to right. But all in all, just a delightful day here. Ball pounded at the plate, foul. 3-2. Comes Wilford's 3-2 pitch. That one is hammered up the middle. Second baseman throwing, not in time. Well, Adam Schneider let the ball come to him, and it took long enough to allow Mike Wehrman a chance to beat it out.
And Joe, when you're looking at playing defense, if you're not going to charge the ball, you better move in and position yourself when you have guys with good speed. Left-hand batters have one less step, and that was the difference here. Again, you see Adam sitting back on the ball, makes a nice throw, but clearly you can see that umpire Jesse Harvey made the correct call.
Ron Loomer is the batter. He walked, scored at the first inning. Slams that one foul, making both Tim and I very happy. We are sitting behind a very strong fence.
I think this is a big inning for Anthony Wolford as far as confidence. You got the heart of their order up. Get that first guy on now. He's got to hang tough in here and see if he can keep his team close.
Nice pitch. 1-2.
Throws a nice fastball. Moves it in and out.
We're in the home half of the third inning. Stella Walsh at bat and leading 3-0. Well, that's all for Ron Loomer. Wilford with his 4th strikeout. Each pitcher has fanned 4.
Well, again, Joe, we talked about hitting the outside pitch the other way. Here it was, high and out. You can see he kind of stepped out like he wanted to pull it.
Pitcher number 18,
Mark Farrar slaps one into center field. That's a base hit. And the ball gets by the center fielder, and that is going to allow Mike Wehrman to come all the way around to score. And now Farrar is headed for third, and he is going to make it safely. Now that is a costly error. Farrar with the single to center field, and then the center fielder couldn't handle it, and that led to a run.
designated hitter 10, Luciano.
And again, we're looking at Nick Planiglia come in here, pick up the ball, and again, didn't get the glove down, didn't center, and he knew it right away.
Foul out of play off the bat of Luis Sonato, who drove in 2 runs with a base hit in the first inning. One. was Halloran's second error of the afternoon. One pitch. 2-1.
Now here's one of those times where the coaches were talking about the catchers. Here you got a man on third base, less than 2 outs. Danny Bull's going to have to work extra hard to make sure he keeps everything in front of him.
Ball is nubbed over the mound. Second baseman, no chance, and then he threw the ball away. The run is scored. Down to second base goes Sonato. Base hit, error, an RBI, and it is now 5-0.
Again, we talked about defense, and again, Coach Grenick said we're going to have to play defense on the right side. This time Schneider charges it, but again, the speed of Stella Walsh. I'm sure Mike Penner right now has got to be feeling pretty good. We wanted to attack him with the bats as well as use our speed, cause an aggressive play, both hitting and running the bases, and that's exactly what's happened here so far today.
5-0 the score. Sonato out at second base, and Keith Johnson, who struck out to end the first inning, comes to bat with 1 out, 2 runs home here in the third. They've got the pickoff play on it at second base, and the ball gets away from the shortstop, David Bowl, and that will send Sonato over to third base. So at the moment anyway, Tim, the fellas from Halloran are having problems of a multitude. Hits by Stella Walsh, errors.
Well, one of the things Mike Penner told me was a concern of his was, hey, this guy's a strikeout pitcher. We need to put the ball in play. And I really believe if we put the ball in play, we can create some runs. And Coach Grenick from Halloran says, look, we got to play good defense. And what's happened is they're not able to pick up the ground balls. And right now, I got to believe that Halloran's going to have to look to play the infield in a little bit and see if they cut off some of these runs.
Another ball, 2-0. Sonato at third base. He's driven in 3 runs this afternoon with a pair of base hits. And another throw by Wilford that is well off the mark, and trotting home is Sonato. Six to nothing. Two and one the count. Still only 1 out, and a ball to make it a 3-1. A 3-run first for Stella Walsh, and 3 more here in the third. And a walk issued to Keith Johnson. Wilford now struck out 4 and walked 3.
Right field, 16,
Pete Kozinski. Slaps that one back to Knigley, the second baseman, and the throw eludes the shortstop covering. Everybody's safe. So Kozinski is on.
Well, again, you see here, now this is the outside pitch. This time he tries to hit it to right, and again, it was a good throw. Shortstop kind of pulled off like he was getting ready to throw the double play. Want to catch the ball first, get the first out.
And the number 9 batter, Mark Stucco. coming to bat. And there's still only one out of the inning.
Great. Mark Stucco.
Foul strike. 6-0. Stella Walsh leads. There's a strike. Strike two.
Truthfully, Joe, if someone just walked into this ball game at 6-0, you'd say, oh my. But Wilford has not pitched that bad of baseball today.
And unfortunately, Tim, he's at that point with the way things have gone behind him that every time somebody hits the ball, he has to hold his breath as to wondering what's going to happen next. Although he has, in a way, contributed with some throwing errors, trying to pick a man off at second and trying to pick a man off at third. Both resulted in advances and runs. Two-two pitch. Ball rolled to the shortstop. A long throw on a bounce and right by the first baseman, Pat Cacone. That scores a run. Puts runners at second and third. It's 7-0. Do they have a mercy run rule in the
championship game?
In the Micky Mantle League?
Well, we do have it during the regular season. With the championship game, I said, don't worry, guys. We're going to have two great teams. It ain't going to happen. But you can see here in the hole, long throw, bad short hop, goes right over the first baseman's glove.
Top of the lineup. Third baseman, 15. Elvis Serrano.
You know, and as a coach, there's not really too much you can do, you know.
Nope, that's for sure. You get one of these afternoons, you just tie in your helmet and hope nobody gets hurt. 6 errors now for Halloran. 7-0.
Somebody told me a long time ago, when you look at baseball, it's a real simple game. You got to catch it, you got to hit it, and you got to throw it. And right now, everything that Halloran's doing, they're not doing any of those well.
There's one back to the screen, and the play at the plate. They got him. Good hustle by the Halloran catcher, Danny Bowl, who went back, picked up that ball, and fired it to Wilford for the second out of the inning.
Well, here again, you can see it's a wild pitch, but give Danny Bowl credit. He hustled. Wilford came down. Nice play. Again, umpire right on top of the play. Good call.
Back to the top of the order, Serrano. Serrano is 2 for 2 with an RBI. And he takes a quick trip down to first base. 2 outs, and Rob Worrell, the 9th man to bat in the inning.
Number 5, the center fielder, Rob Worrell.
Stucco at third, Serrano at first, and Worrell went fishing for a high outside pitch, strike one.
I used to ask my guys that, hey, you swung at the pitch high. Why do you keep hitting yourself on the head? He says, hey, coach, just letting you know I know before you say anything.
Runner going, the breaking ball evens the count at 1-1. Stella Walsh has batted around here in the 3rd inning. 2-1. Stucco at third, Serrano at second. And the 2-1 pitch to Rob Worrell. 2-2. Full count. Wilford's given up 7 runs, only 3 of them earned. Spanks that one into center field. That'll drop for a base hit and plate 2 more. It's 9-0. Worrell with a 2-run single to center field.
Well, both times we looked at Rob Worrell come up and hit. Again, Joe, when you look at this age group and you see a kid hit the ball to right field for a hit with an outside pitch, the next time you see him take the ball up the middle, now all kids today can hit the ball to their own field. So when you're starting to hit the ball up the middle, taking the outside pitch the other way, and it tells you he's got the art of hitting down. He's got a good fundamental beginning.
Well, here's Mike Wehrman, the 10th man to bat in the inning. 9-0 is the score. What is the normal mercy rule?
10 runs after 5 full innings of play.
Okay. Well, we could well be premature. It's 9-0 now, but there's still a couple of innings to go. 1-1 the count. Wehrman today has struck out and singled, scored a run. He led off the 3rd inning. 2-1. Well, you really got a feel for Anthony Wilford. He's a good young pitcher, and he's just involved in one of those afternoons where everything has gone wrong.
But in the long run, Joe, he'll chalk this up as experience. He'll grow from it, and he'll learn to deal with the tough times.
There's one that eludes the catcher and down to second base. Goes Worrell. 3-1 count. Worrell at second of the pass ball. 2 outs. Ball chopped on the first base side and right on through into right field. Scoring easily was Worrell. That's the second hit of the inning for Wehrman.
Again, you can see here he pulls a little outside pitch for a ground ball, and the second baseman was over playing toward the middle. Was able that ball to go through.
Shortstop, number 12, Ron Loomer.
So it's a 10-0 ball game. And Loomer looks at a strike. He has walked and struck out, scored a run. This is a 7-run 3rd inning for Stella Walsh. The curveball, nope. The throw to second base. Gets through and over to third base goes Mike Wehrman with a stolen base and an error. High fly ball to right field. Waiting for it to come down. The right fielder Eugene Ball, and the side is mercifully retired. 7 runs And a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base hits, 3 errors, and a man left. All right, Tim Wells, it's the 4th inning, and it's 10-0 in favor of Stella Walsh. I think I caught the big guy speechless.
Well, I have to tell you this, Joe. We're talking in the office. We saw this going to be a game either way. But, you know, Halloran is a lot better team, and I'm sure they're going to come back here and show it.
Well, Cacone starts it off for Halloran in the 4th inning by beating out a base hit. That is only their 2nd hit of the ball game.
Base hit at first baseman. 18, Pat Cacone.
Now, you know, this guy is just itching. Anthony Wolford just itching to do something with this bat.
Wolford struck out to win the 1st inning. And he looks at the curveball, strike 1. 4th inning, 10-0. Now, Wolford, obviously a very frustrated man this afternoon. He has been pitching and wading through a minefield. First base, diving back is Cacone. Pop up. Shortstop calling for the ball. They got the runner all the way down at second. They can double him up, and the shortstop dropped the ball. He was so eager to make the catch and throw back to first base that he dropped the ball. Everybody's safe, and the runner, Cacone, diving back into first base, is shaken up.
Well, again, Joe, you can see here the runner was going on the pitch. It was a hit and run that was called. And again, he did everything proper. I mean, the team's screaming pop up. He sees the ball's up in the air. He has to stop. He has to go back. It's a pop up in the infield. So you have to take the out with Cacone. But again, Wolford should be on first base. But again, we're dealing with Hollywood base. I'm sure what it is he jammed his ankle on the base. See the coach looking at him right now.
Well, they tell us that Crawford's going to come in to pitch for Halloran. The pitcher's going to go to left field. Leahy for Schneider. Guyon for Hines. Gazelle for Caniglia, with their same spots in the batting order. Guard that paper with your life, because we lose that, we're not going to know what's going on. They continue to work on the injured ball player, Pat Cacone.
Now there's the Stella Walsh fans.
It's 10-0 in favor of Stella Walsh. We are in the 4th inning of play. The injured player is Pat Cacone, the first baseman for Halloran.
And again, Joe, as you look, our staff has been trained. We have taken our recreation instructors in the centers, as well as the coaches, and got them some training in CPR and first aid. So as far as actually handling them, that's why we see the young lady out there, Shelly Brooks, because they've been trained in first aid and CPR to deal with the issues. Looks like a sprained ankle.
They were going to take the shoe off, and she stepped right in and said, keep that shoe on there to keep it tight till we can give him the treatment that he needs, which is a very wise idea. Well,
sure, Joe, when we looked at the pitching changes, if we would have turned around and said that it would be lopsided, we'd be shocked, especially from the previous matchups between these two teams. But Mike Farrar has had everything going his way. He's thrown 35 pitches so far. 23 of them have been strikes. He's only thrown 12 balls, 17 of them fastballs.
Okay, now we're getting in. Now we're getting into new people, new faces, new numbers. And this is number 10, Steve Leahy. He's batting for Adam Schneider, ball one. A ball racing down to second base goes Anthony Wilford in safely.
Again, Steve Lay is going to be entering St. Ignatius High School this fall, 11th grader, honor roll student. So academically, he's been solid.
Strike one. 2-1.
Talked about Steve Leahy, you know, the coach had told us, hey, he's going to make the pitcher throw strikes. And even though the umpire called that a strike, from the coach's standpoint, you always tell your players, listen, he's going to throw his strikes early in the count sometimes. You look for your pitch.
The 2-1 pitch. And he flailed away at an inside offering to even the count at 2-2. And that one nub fouled on the first base side. It's a new first baseman over there. Let's check the numbers. Mike Stucco at first base. Did we receive any further communications from Stella Walsh as to changes that they were making?
I haven't seen anything come through yet, Joe, but I'm sure there's massive.
Two-two pitch. Full count. Batter is Steve Leahy. Well, I'm going to assume that, and that could be dangerous in this game, that Mike Stucco is at first base and that Keith Johnson is out of the lineup. That's all for Steve Leahy. He becomes a strikeout victim for Mark Farrar.
Again, it was a high and in fastball. You can see rode it up and in, a little crouch, good location. You can see right now why Mike Farrar is the type of pitcher he's going to get those strikeouts. Moves the ball down, in and out. Brian Zima.
Brian Zima was listed as the left fielder, and then lo and behold, we looked up and he was in right field. And rumor has it he may be coming on to pitch. That's Wilford out at second base. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down. 4th inning, 10-0 in favor of Stella Ward, or Stella Walsh. Stella Ward was my 4th grade teacher. Gee whiz, flashback time. Pop. Foul. And the count 1-2.
Got a nice little crowd here this afternoon.
Yeah, good gathering here this afternoon. That's nice. These youngsters work as hard as anybody in playing baseball, and it's nice to have them supported by fans, friends, and family. Time called. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 4th inning, 10-0 in favor of Stella Walsh. Foul ball. It says here that Kyle Hine is in for Pat Koken.
So what they've done is move Kyle Hine from third base over to first base.
Yeah.
And we'll have a new third baseman next inning, Joe.
But he stays at his spot in the lineup.
Right. He'll stay in the same spot in the batting order. Just move defensively.
I'd love to hear Herb Score recap this ball game from my scorecard. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Two and two.
Ryan Zima was one of the John Marshall players that was here for the city championship. Favorite player Ken Griffey.
Ready for the 2-2 pitch. Pounds it foul. We're in the 4th inning, top of the 4th. Stella Walsh scored 3 in the 1st and 7 in a nightmare 3rd. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Full count. Mark Farrar ready with the 3-2 pitch. Runner is going. The ball tagged to center field. Back to get it. And hauling it in is Rob Worrell. So the inning is over to the tune of no runs and a base hit with a man left. And at the end of 3 1/2 innings of play, Tim Wells, it is still 10-0. Now, I want you to very carefully review and preview all of these multitudinous changes we've got here.
Well, Joe.
Oh, that was really dirty pool. Well, let's look at some. We know that Dan Bowl is still catching. Now, who's that out of the mound? That's a number 2. We haven't seen him yet. That is
Johnny Crawford.
Johnny Crawford.
Now pitching for Howard, number 2.
Okay. Now does that take Wolford out of the game, or is he?
No,
number 20, Kyle
it's where they're at in the batting order, and I don't know all the changes that they're making. So, Joe, we're going to kind of have to play this by ear till we see who he's putting where, because I'm sure the injuries are going to be a factor. I see Zima is in right field.
But he was there at least for 1 out.
Yeah, right.
Last inning. All right, now who is this pitcher again? You don't
this
confuse.
is John Crawford.
John Crawford. He's
2.
5'9", 170, a right-hander.
Dan Guyan, number 16.
Okay, the new third baseman, and I believe Dan Guyan then would bat in the spot of Pat Kokan. So number 16, Dan Guyan, will bat in Pat Kokan's spot, and he's going to be the new third baseman.
Center field.
Okay.
We now have number 19, Dennis Guzelle.
And I believe he's keeping Anthony Wolford in the game, and they're going to put him in left field.
Yeah, there goes Wolford out to left field. So Wolford moves from pitcher to left field. All right. So will that move? Will that move Crawford into Eugene Ball's spot in the lineup? He had been the left fielder.
Right. I would believe that. Now they made a double switch, so it could either be Guyan or Crawford because they came in at the same time. But if they follow regular routine, Guyan will be in where Kokan is, and Crawford will be in Ball's spot.
Okay, Crawford pitching. The pitcher is in left field. Leahy is in for Schneider. Guyan for Hines. Gazelle for Caniglia. Same spots in the batting order.
Correct. That's why when we had this league all year with free substitutions, we told the coaches, you score the game yourselves. Long throw.
And out.
Dan Guyan
was Farrar.
Comes in and tosses over to Kyle Hine.
Well, next year when you have that meeting, Tim, you just add one thing. If there are television cameras at the field, please tell the poor devils hiding behind the screen what you're doing. And we are getting messages now. We are beginning to get the information. This is Luis Sonata. Now, he has been a busy ball player. He has 2 base hits, 3 runs batted in, and he scored a run. This is the home half of the 4th inning.
One of Louis' strengths in baseball is pitching. And he's pitched 10 1/3 innings. Last 10 1/3 innings, he hasn't given up an earned run. So if things hold true to form, Stella Walsh seems to be a very formidable opponent and representing Cleveland in the state tournament in Youngstown, Ohio.
I really hope so, Tim, but remember, you're the guy who told me this was going to be a pitcher's duel. Oops. Ball slapped at the 3rd baseman. That's Guyan, Dan Guyan, and hit him in a bad place, the hands. So we've got 1 out and 1 on.
Now again, Joe, you can see here, off-speed pitch here, ground ball. 3rd baseman was standing up, didn't have the glove down, fingers down. And again, I'm sure when he comes back in, the coach is going to be telling him.
First baseman, number 7.
Here's Mike Stucco. Stucco batting for the first time. He moved into the lineup in place of Keith Johnson in the top of the 4th.
You know, now we talk about history of baseball. Here we asked this kid, who is your favorite player? And he said, Babe Ruth. And the guy around him looked and said, Babe Ruth.
Probably meant John Goodman. Fouled out of play. 1-1. Yeah, well, how did he explain that, Tim?
When the other kid looked at him, he said, you don't know who Babe Ruth is? And he says, I'm not going to explain it because you missed the greatest thing that ever happened to baseball. And I didn't say a word. I just wrote it down.
A ball to bring the count to 2-1.
You know, one of the things is, Joe, when you look at a baseball program or any recreation program, you know, the participants have the right to play. They have the right to learn. And that's what this program is all about. It's giving them a chance to go out and play.
Base hit to left field. Wilford fumbled the ball, and that allows the batter, Mike Stucco, to go down to second base. That is the 8th error of the game.
Well, we see here, it's a hard hit ball, goes through for a base hit. Again, Wolford down on a knee, but didn't get the glove down. Comes after the ball. Again, you can see the dejection and the frustration on Anthony. And the real story is that, you know, the Halloran baseball team has had an outstanding season. They've played well. This is not a typical game that Halloran plays.
All right, this is Barton batting for Kozinski. That'll be a straight change to left field. Joe Barton, 4 for 11 during the regular season. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, 10-0 in favor of Stella Walsh. Runners at second and at third. 1 out. Two down, and the batter is whomever gets to home plate next. I think it's Mark Stucco.
Well, you can see there, it seemed like he almost, when you looked at his hand, it was like a palm ball. He's coming in with an off-speed pitch. Ball's dropping a little bit for him. Yet I'm sure the coach went out there and said, look, just throw strikes.
That ball is hammered to the shortstop, and in time to retire the side. So we have played 4 fun-filled innings. It is still 10-0. And it says here on my sheet, we'll keep it right here, Tim Wells. So now it's your turn, because I've got an hour and a half of scorebook writing to do.
Well, one of the things, Joe, is as we've seen, you know, this game here, as far as, well, here you see he gets down on the ground ball, comes up, steps up and makes a good throw, and it was a nice scoop by the first baseman, Kyle Hines. But, you know, when you look at the Micky Mantle League and you talk about baseball in Cleveland, it's not just baseball. There's other programs that are going to be coming up. And for our viewers in the city of Cleveland, there's some programs that are going to be coming up this fall, starting next month, that teenagers as well as youngsters, they're going to range from organized sports such as flag football for all ages of teenagers on down to 8 years old. We're going to have Pee-wee programs for kids 5 to 7. We're going to have girls volleyball programs running in all the recreation centers. On the artistic calendar and cultural arts, there's going to be some dance programs that's going to be inserted, as well as ceramics, some photography classes, all kind of programs that are going to be put in to the recreation centers coming up this fall. You might want to call the Cleveland Recreation Center nearest you to say, hey, I want to get my kid involved. Schools, I know school's back in session. What can they do? Plenty of action. Even though that school will be starting next month, there's a lot of things that the kids can do. You know, we talk about baseball in Cleveland, Joe. We have the largest adult baseball league in Ohio, 24 active teams that are playing right now here in the city of Cleveland, which is like almost 500 participants, as well as we have kids playing in our rec centers, on our playground sponsored events, as well as in our parks, over 1,500 participants that the Cleveland Baseball Federation has been a part of, making sure they have a medical coverage if they don't, to take care of them in case of an injury. And that's so key the way our economy has gone today, as well as people. We hear about the health care plans that the government's fighting to get for everyone in our country.
Changes in Stella Walsh's defense. Now at first base, Mike Stucco.
Mike Stucco at first base.
In right field, we have number 6, Nick Kubik.
Dick Kubik is in the ball game. He is not going to bat. He is replacing Santo Ortiz.
Joe Barton.
And Joe Barton, who did bat in the last inning, stays in the ball game in right field.
Well, John Crawford gets his first crack up here.
He came on to pitch in the 4th inning. We are now in the 5th, and it is 10-0. Steve Wright, 2. Ten runs, 11 hits for Stella Walsh. Good stop on the swing, and he is out of there. John Crawford, strikeout victim, but had to be thrown out.
Again, the throw was necessary because the ball hit the dirt. You can see right here, ball in the dirt, swung at a breaking ball. Again, you want to run those out. You want to make him throw it. Get it down there.
Number 19, Dennis Guzan.
All right, we have a new batter in the number 9 spot. Nick Caniglia had been there, but he's not there anymore. And It is Dennis Kuzel.
And Dennis is a student at Padua High School. He'll be entering the 11th grade this fall.
Kuzel 4 for 19 during the regular season.
Well, if you'd have told us that Mark Ferrara would be sitting out here in the 5th inning with 10 runs to work with, I don't think anybody in the park would have believed it. But this is kind of a pitcher's dream. You get the run support, you have the defense. All you got to do is go out there and throw it over the plate.
Ten to nothing is the score. Full count, 3-2. 1 out. Been 2 big innings for Stella Walsh. They came up with 3 in the first. Luis Sonato had a 2-run base hit in that inning, and then in the 3rd inning, everything went wrong. 4 errors, 3 or 4 walks, 6 base hits, 7 runs. And a strikeout. Kuzel becomes the 2nd of the inning.
Again, you can see here, all coaches tell them, hey, hard and low. Nice fastball, just went right in there and challenged them.
That's 7 strikeouts for Ferrara today. Danny Bowl, the catcher, has grounded out twice. Ball 1.
You know, we talked about Danny being a tough kid. He's over at John Marshall, and he's also involved in the wrestling program with Gene Gibbons. He's been a veteran wrestling coach here in the Cleveland area, standing record, as well as he's involved with baseball at the school. So, you know, academically, he's kept his grades.
2 balls and a strike. Top of the order, Dan Bowl. Brother David on deck. 2 outs. Three and 1. Ferrara's had pretty good control. He struck out 7 and walked only 1. Giving up 2 base hits. And he walks his 2nd batter of the afternoon. Here's David Bowl, a strikeout victim of the 1st inning and a fly ball to left field to the 3rd. 2 outs and a runner at first base.
Shortstop, number 4, David Bowl.
Ball 1. And it's a 1 ball, 1 strike count.
Well, the pitcher threw it in there and the hitter knew it. Yeah, that was the one I wanted. See if he can make up for it here.
Runner going, throw it down to second base. Not in time, stolen base for Dan Bowl.
Well, we can see here, again, it was an outside pitch. Didn't put the catcher in a good position to get out there and make a throw. But again, Danny Bowl leads his teams with stolen bases this year.
Foul ball, that should be out of here over the big fence. 2-2.
Danny had told us, he says, you know, my favorite player is Kenny Lofton, and I play just like him. I get on base, and I can run. You saw a little bit of that there.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch from Farrar. Breaking ball inside, full count. All right, 3-2 pitch. Wrapped hard to third. The baseman got a handle on it for the minute, then couldn't stay with it. Everybody is safe. Runners at first and at third with 2 outs. Comes Dan Guyan up to bat. Guyan.
Well, you can see here he pulls the inside pitch. Ken Serrano comes up off the heel of the glove. Nothing he can do but knock it down and hold on to it. We got a first and third situation.
That is the first error for Stella Walsh this afternoon. Halloran has 8 of them. Strike 1. Ball, throw to second base. Watch the runner at third. Now standing on deck, Tim, to discuss the finer points of this game, many of which I obviously don't understand, is Kyle Hine. But why would Hine move down 1 spot in the batting order? Is he not batting out of order? Because Guyan actually replaced Cacone because Hine took over at first base. So
absolutely, Joe.
It would appear that we have a man batting out of order.
Right. But officially, until the team manager catches it and comes over, and technically, he doesn't bat out of order till he gets on base.
Base hit. Halloran is on the board twice. Well, Mark Stucco is there with the tag, but safe at home plate is David Bowl. Guyan has the 2-run single. Now Hine is the batter, and we'll see if Stella Walsh detects that he's batting out of order.
You can see the play here, and again, good call by umpire Gary Hesley, slid under the tag. Now once this first pitch is thrown, Joe, it's history.
Well, I'll tell you, with the substitution rules in this league, it would be almost impossible to know whether anybody was batting out of order. That'll be a base hit. And they'll put the brakes on Guyan. I'm not sure I'm ever going to justify this in my book, because this makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, Joe, all you got to remember is who the starter is stays in that spot. Now you can see here again, Kyle Hine, he's been their hitter all year, and he comes through and drops one into right field. Again, we're back to a first and third situation. And we have number 14 up.
Anthony Wilford.
And he is batting in the right spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Throw to second base, safe there. No, they say he was out. All right, he was called out at second base. I assume that was Hine trying to steal second base.
Correct.
I don't know. Figure it out for yourself, folks.
Well, here, we'll take a look at it. Again, it was an easy pitch to handle. Plus, he didn't get to the base. The tag was made before he reached in. And again, a good call by Jesse Harvey. And again, you talked about running into outs. You're down 8. You got to save those outs. You don't want to. Kyle Hine doesn't have that extreme speed. And I'm sure that someone got crossed up on a signal. So, Joe, when we come back, it's going to be
Oh, we're still here.
Yeah, when we have Wilford to come back up to bat for Halloran.
That's
Okay.
very good,
I'm just
Tim.
trying to figure out who's batting here.
That's the way to go, buddy. In that inning, as I'm slowly sorting this out, 2 runs on a total of 2 base hits. There was a man left, and there was 1 error.
Now, you know the Halloran people, when they see this, they're going to say it didn't matter. Hine got a hit, and Guyan got a hit. They both got hit, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Right. It's thinking like that runs the post office.
I know when I was coaching in the high school, that was one of the things I taught them. What happens when a guy bats out of order? You know, you don't go up and tell the ump he's batting out of order, because all they got to do is change him.
That's right.
Once he reaches first base, hey, ump, he's batting out of order. Now they can declare him out.
Well, in 16, 17 years with the Indians, I saw that happen twice. And on one occasion, the Indians got caught doing it. On the other side, it was never. It happened in the 2nd inning, and the guy batted out of order for the whole game.
I think the Stella Walsh coaches are over here with our scores saying, hey, something didn't make sense that inning.
So we're in the last half of the 5th inning. Look at that. Beautiful camera work.
What a
great
day.
Direction by Pat Murray. They are still trying to sort it out here, folks. Now, according to my book, it's going to be Serrano, Worrell, and Wehrman for Stella Walsh, and it is now 10-2 in the 5th inning. Okay, here Kubik will bat. Well, then who won't bat?
Well, right now we got Serrano up.
Tim,
we'll take it as we
that
go.
is clever. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Kubik will bat for the DH. Well, I hope you folks watching at home care, and if you're friends and family, you probably do, because I'm totally confused. 2-1 the count on Elvis Serrano. He has singled twice and walked once. He has scored twice. 2-1 the count. Now it's, and I thought for sure I heard the umpire say 2-1, but this time the scoreboard was right and my hearing was wrong, and it's a walk. The pitcher, I hope, is still Crawford.
That's correct, Joe.
Okay.
And we have the same hitter, Rob Worrell.
Worrell today has singled, bounced to third, and singled. He has scored twice, driven into. On the very first pitch, Serrano sets sail for second base and steals it.
Serrano, favorite player. Indians and Carlos Baerga, you see here, they pitched out. The throw wasn't there in time. And Serrano showing outstanding speed.
Ball driven to center field and caught. Throwback gets away. And now indecision rules the base paths. And a bad throw down the left field line. And this time Serrano figures, what the heck, I'll stay where I am.
Now, one of the things that really impressed me on this play, Joe, and it'll never go in a record book, is what Anthony Wolford did. You could see that the ball was hit to center and he ended up throwing back in the infield, but he hustled to back up third base, and that prevented this guy from scoring. And you'll see that kind of hustle, and you see players going out there backing up bases. You learn, as baseball people do, to learn those little things and appreciate them.
Mike Wehrman is the batter. He has struck out, singled twice, driven in a run, scored once. 10-2, 5th inning. Ball 1.
second baseman Mike Worman.
Ball 2. Ball pounded to the second baseman. Oh, you talk about waiting for the ball to get to you. There was the classic example, and a run scores with a base hit. That's the third hit of the afternoon for Worman. Second RBI.
Again, you see an outside pitch, tries to pull, we get a little hopper. And again, what's happened is you can see that Steve Leahy is kind of playing it as like, I don't want to go get it. And whenever you play defense, go get the ball. Charge it, come up and play it. Don't wait on it, because if you wait on it, that ball's going to take a hop and beat you.
It's 11-2. Second hit and first run off Crawford. Stolen base for Worman. Batter is Loomer. He pounds the ball to the third baseman. Guyon is throwing, but no chance. And now on the delayed move to third base, the ball is thrown away. Here comes Worman, and it is 12-2, and down to second base goes Loomer.
Again, that was bad judgment on everyone's part. One, it was a ball that was hit, but one of those where you can't do anything about it, whether you hold the ball. You can see here the ball's hit. The guy's going to have it beat. You're playing back. Hold the ball. Then he comes back and throws across the field. This guy's already has third base. Shortstop did a nice job getting over to cover the base. But in this case, the last inning, Wilford backs it up. This inning, he stands out and doesn't back it up. It cost them the run.
Well, now it is 12-2, and there's a base hit into left field, and Wilford misplayed it, and another run scores, and it's 13-2 as Farrar gets his second base hit of the afternoon and moves up on the error.
Well, we can see here it's a base hit through the hole. Wilford again sitting on the ball, not coming up to play it. Again, backed up by the center fielder, Guyon. He throws in, prevents him from scoring.
13-2. On the mound now is Kurt Grenig for Halloran.
And I have to tell you something, Joe. When Kurt played for me, there was two things that irritated him more than anything. When the manager came out to talk to him. He used to tell me, don't come out to talk to me.
Well, he has made a pitching change, has he not? Or has he?
Yes.
That's David Bowl, right?
Number 4, David Bowl.
Now pitching for Halloran. David Bowl.
All right. Now, my question to you is, what happened to Crawford?
Crawford
See him out there someplace?
Yes, Crawford just moved over to play second base.
Okay. All right.
And Steve Leahy, who was playing second, just shifted over to short where Bull was playing. No change in the lineup, just defensive position.
So Leahy is now at second base.
No, Leahy's at shortstop.
I see.
And Crawford is at second base. And now we have the twin brother combination, pitcher and catcher. David throwing to Dan.
Well, it's 13-2. Of that, I am sure. We're in the 5th inning. Stella Walsh batting. They've been doing it in bunches today. 3 in the first, 7 in the third, now 3 more here in the 5th. Fly ball, center field. They have the outfield played the other way, and it drops for a base hit. the fourth hit of the inning.
Well, you can see here on the replay, again, it drops in. Again, the outfielder wants to get the ball into the cutoff people right away. They were shifted over to left center, and he punched it right through the middle.
And that was Kubik, I believe, who hit. An earlier message we had received was that he was going to bat for the designated hitter.
That's correct, Joe.
Mike Stucco is the batter. He has been at bat one time with a base hit. One count. Thirteen to 2, and the count goes to 2-1. Well, tell me, you obviously know Mr. Grenick very well. I notice on the assignment sheet, oh, there's a shot, and it is a foul ball. I notice on the assignment sheet, I'm the guy that's going to have to go out and talk to these coaches when this is over. How is Mr. Grenick going to respond when I wave a microphone under his face? Is he going to do an Albert Bell or what?
No, because sometimes when it's him personally, he really feels, and I'm sure he's feeling for his kids right now, but it's more than just this game. It's the whole season and the whole program, and I'm sure that's the way that he'll be.
Well, there was another bad decision as Leahy wound up after bobbling the ball, having no reason at all to throw it, firing badly to first base, and it's 15 to 2, and I think it's time to trot out the mercy rule. Because Halloran has just arrived at that point in the afternoon where there's another run. They got the rundown. Guyon throws back to Crawford.
This will be interesting.
They got two guys at second base.
One guy, there we go.
Well, I hereby surrender my scorebook. I'm just going to look at the scoreboard. I'll tell you what the score is, folks, because I have lost it completely. I have no idea who's doing what to whom or where. 15 to 2 is the score. Stella Walsh leads. That I can tell you. It's the fifth inning, and everything else is beyond comprehension. Ball one. This is Mark Stucco. That one to the pitcher, and Bowl makes the put out that mercifully retires the side, as again Stella Walsh has the big inning. And so it's 15 to 2 in favor of Stella Walsh, and we go now to Desiree Powell. She'll be chatting with Joe Vulich, a Cleveland umpire for 46 years.
Hi, we're back today, and we're here speaking with Mr. Joe Vulich, a Cleveland baseball umpire. Could you give us an idea, how long have you been an umpire, and how did your career start?
Well, I've been umpiring 46 years. Yep. And I started in 1948. Okay. A man by the name of Joe Raymond, who was my basketball coach, and then he was CYO administrator. Okay. He asked me to umpire a few games, and I umpired a few games for him. And then he told me that I had to take a test with the Cleveland Umpires Association. I took a test, and then I started umpiring with Cleveland umpires. Harry Cray was the president.
Okay.
And that's the way I got started, and I continue with it because I just loved the game, and to this day I still love it. I don't know how long I'll go. I hope I enjoy myself.
Well, that's evident for you to be in the umpire business for 46 years and still going strong. But when you're out in a game and you hear all the boos and the applause and all of the fans, how do you handle that being an umpire? Because you can't be everybody's friend.
Well, you can't be everybody's friend. You just try to do the best you can what the Lord gave you, and you just continue and you try to block your ears and let the thing go away. And if it continues, if it's the ball players that give you the trouble, you just warn them once and say bye-bye to them. And the fans, you can't do nothing about it.
Is it easier as the years goes for those tough nights out there of trying to handle the crowd?
Yes, it is easier.
Okay.
The crowd, they don't bother you that much. Like I said, you just try to block your ears and enjoy the game.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of stories I'm sure you could share with us, but is there that one special story that you have that you can share with all the viewers?
Well, I always tell a story about when I got into Class A, when after 7 years of work and everything else, I got into Class A, and some manager, I don't like to call his name, and I had the game, and this guy, you get 2 balls from each manager, and I wanted to, so after about 3 or 4 innings, the ball couldn't go no further than the middle of the park, so somebody hollered, "The ball's frozen." I says, what's he talking about frozen? He says, "Joe," he says, "the balls were put in a refrigerator." So that's all I have to tell you. Well,
I'm sure you have plenty more, but thank you for that story. What advice would you give young women, young men, anyone who's interested in becoming an umpire and spending time with children and getting in that avenue? What advice would you give them as starting out?
Well, you have to have heart. You have to have it here. You have to be consistent and just let everything flow. If it flows right for you one night, it flows right. If it don't, so all you got to do is say, look to the sky and say, "Lord, help me." That's all you got to do.
You're only human, huh?
Right.
Well, allow me to thank you on behalf of all the coaches and everyone that's worked with you in the past, because all we hear is good praise and comments on how consistent you are and how loyal and how you do have heart for the children. So we want to thank you for that.
I thank you very much, too. It's very nice to be recognized. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
And we want to also say the same to all the men and women in blue that do the sandlots and that take the heart to stand behind that plate and help out.
They deserve it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be back with more baseball after this break.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
No.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Tony Wilper.
Well, I think this is the 6th inning. Yes, it is. 15-2. And the first batter is Anthony Wilford, and he's out on a fly ball to right field. Mark Farrar has been the beneficiary of some timely hitting and his own talent. He has pitched well here today. At the 5th inning, where he gave up a couple of runs, Kyle Hine tagged him for a 2-run hit. Steve Leahy sends one foul. They're chanting MVP, and I'm sure it's for Farrar, which I think is a pretty good choice, Tim.
Yeah, he's kind of controlled the game. Stayed ahead of the hitters, threw strikes.
1-1 the count on Leahy. That's out of play, 1-2.
You know, it's odd, Joe, when you get games like this, you look at the men in blue, like Joe Vulich was talking about, the Cleveland umpire and how he's been around for many, many years. But the crew we've had today has done a good job. And our hats have to go off to those unsung heroes of the baseball diamonds, the men and women in blue.
Foul ball.
I used to always tell myself when I was an official, hey, I got somebody on my side all the time. I never looked at the one that yelled at me, it was the other guy.
1 out with a 1-2 count on the batter. Two balls, 2 strikes. Steve Leahy has been to bat 1 time and struck out.
It was interesting to hear Joe talk about umpires and qualities, consistent, fair, honesty. You know, and I really, when I'd gone around the sandlots and talked to some of the coaches and asked them about Joe Vulich, they talked about how he always kept the game enjoyable, no matter how much pressure or tension, people around him.
Bouncer to shortstop, comes up on a good hop and in time. 2 down.
Again, Ron Loomer showed some good range, as well as came in, charged the ball in a nice play.
This was a nice play by Loomer.
Across the middle, good throw.
That leaves it up to Brian Zima. 1 for 2, takes the ball. 15-2 in favor of Stella Walsh. Ball 2. Two and 1, and unless Halloran comes up with 4 runs in a hurry, this is the final at-bat of this ball game. The mercy rule will prevail. Fly ball, it's out of play.
I hope that wasn't our card, Joe.
I know it's not mine. I can see mine. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. It's in the air, and it is, look out, John Payton. Came down right next to Big John, who is.
Yeah, John Payton is the program director for the Cleveland Baseball Federation. He's been very supportive of this program and seeing that it happens.
Well, here comes the 3-2 pitch. Walked him. Now it's 3-2. That one, it is grabbable by the third baseman, and this game is over. 3 up, 3 down in the 5th inning, or in the actually the 6th inning. And now let's go to American Funland package owner Jerry Robeck.
Congratulations to the Stella Walsh.
We're at American Funland on 12201 Berea Road, just west of 117th Street And our special guest is the president of American Funland, Jerry Skorovic.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Jerry, American Funland? What a name. I understand that it's not just baseball, it's a lot of things. But let's first talk about what kind of features does American Funland have in lines of baseball?
Tim, we have 9 batting cages. We have 4 hardball cages from 30 mile an hour to 80 mile an hour. And then we have 5 softball cages. One of them is a fast pitch softball, and then regular 4 slow pitch softball machines.
You know, when we talk to our kids, they love to hit. Everybody loves to hit. But coaches dream about defense. Is there anything that you're doing as far as defensively trying to help the kids?
We have 2 fielding cages. We're the only ones in the state of Ohio that has them. They actually throw ground balls to the kids at 2 different speeds, for little guys and for big guys, softball and hardball, and they throw back to a target. So it increases, or it helps their quickness going from right to left, and then it also their accuracy throwing back at a target.
You know, I've heard people that have come here to American Funland, and they tell me it's more than just hitting the ball and fielding, that you have instructors. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
We have some high school area coaches that in turn come out and give lessons to the kids on a per basis to each one of the children. They can either get their friends to come with them, they charge so much for the lesson and then so much for the rental of the cage.
You know, a lot of the people that watch this may not be baseball fans. You know, it might be mom and dad. What kind of things are going on besides the sports at American Funland?
What they call these now is family fun centers, and so it's a lot of things involved for the family. We have a go-kart track, which we just recently put in. We try and make it as nice and safe as possible with seat belts and everything else. We have an 18-hole miniature golf course with the waterfalls and the mountain effect, and it's like walking through a park.
You know, kids come and they play golf, they do the go-kart, the ones are hitting, mom and dad sitting there watching. I'm sure there's more. Was it the refreshment stand still there too?
Yeah, refreshments is a real important part of American Funland. We have a restaurant on the front part of the property where we do our own homemade ice cream, which we make right here. We have custard, sundaes, everything related to ice cream, and then we also have a complete deli menu where we do jumbo sandwiches.
You know, really, this is a very special day for the kids that we see playing today. But what was the real reason that American Funland got involved in sponsoring part of the Cleveland Micky Mantle program?
Too many kids nowadays find too many things to get into trouble with. And by getting the kids to play baseball, which in turn we all did as we were youngsters, keeps them off the streets, keeps them having fun, and American Funland it's real important to us to do those things.
You know, business community groups, I'm sure this isn't the only thing that you're sponsored in. Can you share with our viewers some of the other sponsorships that you're involved with?
We sponsor in the Lakewood, the Little League program. We're also doing Four Corners League. We're also doing the Puritas League. We're also doing West Denison League. So most of the Little Leagues that are around this area, we try and back a team to help the Little Leagues out.
You know, when we look at American Funland and the commitment to the community, but especially the kids we see out playing here today, a lot of them are going to be our workforce of tomorrow. You being a businessman, I'm sure that you started from ground level and build up to this point. What advice would you give to those youngsters preparing for the workforce of tomorrow?
I don't think there's any better advice than education and hard work. Go get an education and just work hard. Don't expect anything for free, and things will come harder to you, but I think you appreciate them more.
You know, American Funland on the near west side of Cleveland, Ohio, but I understand that there's another facility that you're also involved with.
Right, we also have Batarama, which is on the east side in Maple Heights. It's right off of 480, conveniently located on Broadway, and we have 7 batting cages over there, ice cream stand, and we've been there 9 years at Batarama.
And again, Batarama's east and directions. How about if they wanted to come American Funland, could you tell them the easy access to it?
We're right off of Interstate 90. You would take Interstate 90, get off on West 117th Street, go north to Carbon, a left on Carbon, a left on Berea, and we're right there as soon as you turn. We're approximately 4 minutes off of Interstate 90.
Both of them are very accessible off the freeways. And Jerry, our special thanks goes out to you and your staff. American Funland has proven to be more than just helping kids with baseball and softball, but seems to be a fun place to come. Bring the kids, get on the go-karts, do the miniature golf, be a big part of it. Jerry, again, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, the City of Cleveland.
Okay. And now back to more of Micky Mantle Baseball.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back to wrap it up right after we take this final timeout.
little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. And this little piggy went wee, 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 all the way home.
I've had the same friends since I was a little kid. But this year, some of them started playing with these other kids. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's cool making new friends and all, but they weren't like us. They were, you know, different. And I heard my big brother saying some pretty bad stuff about people like them. But they seemed pretty cool, and we had a pretty good time. So, well, maybe my brother doesn't know everything.
Hey, Carlos, come on, we need you.
Don't be afraid.
Be your friend.
Well, welcome back to Gordon Park. It was the Micky Mantle Championship Day, and right now we're with the guy that really doesn't want to be on the bottom end, but it was the coach from Halloran, Kurt Grenick. Kurt, I know typically Halloran doesn't play that well. You had a great season, but more or less, not just about today, but let's talk a little bit about the season and the program and how it's impacted your kids.
Well, the program is designed for the city of Cleveland kids to pretty much have a place to play. What we want to do is keep the talent in Cleveland, bring it up through the school system, and give them a place to play. Hopefully that we can get a league together that'll be a higher age group next year, 17, 18-year-olds.
Joe and I kind of kidded. I was just telling him that you always hated when I came to the mound to talk to you. I was wondering if you were ever going to get out there.
I got out there plenty of times today.
Okay. Well, listen, Kurt, we know that you went up against an outstanding team with Stella Walsh. Again, a lot of them are veteran players. You got a lot of young players, and next year should be brighter. Okay, Joe's with the winning team from Stella Walsh and today's MVP. Joe?
All right, we're chatting now with the man who won the 100-yard backstroke. Actually, it looks that way because the Stella Walsh team just gave him the winning baptism at the end of this 15-2 victory. Coach Mike Penner, and boy, you pushed all the right buttons today, Coach.
Yeah, everything that I thought would happen in the beginning of the game. I said we needed to hit their pitcher early. We hit their pitcher early. We needed to block the ball so they wouldn't go back to the backstop. We blocked the balls, and like you said, I tried. I guess I guessed right.
This was a ball club that jumped on the opportunity, and then I think to your credit, you didn't let the other side get back into the ball game.
Yeah, that's been a sort of problem all year. We jump ahead and then we relax, and it sort of hurt the team all year. And I was trying in the playoffs and later in the year we have to go into a tournament to keep pushing because teams will come back.
Pretty good tune-up for the state tournament, right?
Oh yeah, I think we're ready to go. A couple more practices will be there.
Mike, good luck at the state.
Thank you very much.
Let's call in the MVP, Mark Farrar, who had it all together today. 2 runs, 4 hits, struck out 7, walked only 1 or 2. You really had it cooking today, Mark.
Yeah, I guess so.
Was that the way you normally pitch, pretty much on your game today?
Yeah, basically. I mean, just go with the 1-2 and fastball and curve.
Is it tough when you're out there and your team's up 10, 12 runs to maintain your concentration?
Yeah, because you just want to like slack off or whatever, you know. You don't want to throw as hard because you want to hurt your arm. But I just pitched, so.
What about the state tournament, Mark?
I don't know.
You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Mark, congratulations on getting the MVP honor, and to Mike Penner, the coach of the winning Stella Walsh team. And that's the story here from Gordon Park, and we'll be chatting with Tim Wells again right after this timeout.
The music was loud and we was laughing and joking around. 3 shots fired. He was killed. It really hurt. Why did this have to happen?
Unfortunately, Alicia's story is all too common. Children with their childhood taken from them. Fear of violence is robbing our children of their future. We must take away that fear and give them hope. We must give Alicia and all our children back their childhood. Working together, we can.
Do something now. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT.
Well, it was all Estella Walsh Day here at Gordon Park in the Micky Mantle Championship as they were crowned city champions here today in a rout, 15-2 over Halloran. And they did it in style. As we look at the stats, it was 15 runs on 12 hits and 1 error, as Halloran had 2 runs, 4 hits, and they committed a whopping 15 errors. Couldn't pick up the ball, Joe. And that really was the whole story as Mark Farrar dominated the game. But truthfully, Joe, it was more than just Micky Mantle baseball and the city title. Stella Walsh, and they'll remember this day for a long, long time. But it really was about City of Cleveland kids getting the opportunity to play baseball free of charge and really going out and not just learning baseball, but learning about life.
Well, sometimes the lessons you learn when you're down 15-2 are maybe in the long run a little bit better than the lessons you learn when you're up 15-2.
Yeah, when we go back and we think about all the great things that have happened, there's many people behind the scenes that have really helped us make this happen. I would be remiss if we didn't mention them, including you, Joe, coming out here, giving your time to the City of Cleveland youth. We deeply appreciate it. And our director, Pat Murray, as well as Cablevision, Dennis Knowles, Henry Picterna, Kathy Allen, and our camera crew gave us great shots here today at Gordon Park. So, Joe, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and we sincerely hope that you enjoyed today's ball game. Look forward to working with Tim again and various other sports venues that come up for the Recreation League. Certainly a very worthwhile organization in Cleveland, Ohio. This is Joe Tate for Tim Wells. Have a good night, everybody.